Imagine there were a way to lower your monthly phone bill, and that's it. You get a basic plan for $30 or $45 a month. It's unlimited talk, text, and data, and although there's some fine print, it's mostly fine. And that's kind of what Visible by Verizon is. It's fine, and it might be just what you're looking for or not quite enough, and the difference between those two ends are really in the details, which I'm going to share with you in this video. Hi everybody, foXnoMad here, and today I want to help you travel smarter with my review of Visible by Verizon, which is kind of like Verizon's service, but not quite. Let me explain. Visible is what's known as a mobile virtual network operator, or MVNO, sort of. Now, typically the way an MVNO works is a third party buys off a small but significant chunk of a wireless provider's network services. See, putting up and maintaining cell towers is expensive and labor intensive, but typically carriers don't have enough customers to completely offset the cost of maintaining all of that hardware. So, what they do is sell at a discount a bulk portion of their network services to another company that can then resell that service under their own branding. A good example of a traditional MVNO is Mint Mobile. So, Mint Mobile doesn't have their own cell towers, they don't have their own network hardware. What they do instead is they buy a portion of T-Mobile's network, and then they take that network service and then they resell it at a discount with their own branding. And the way they can offer that discount is because they don't have any physical stores, or they don't have any sales representatives in those physical stores that they have to pay. So in theory, they can resell that service at a discount to you. Visible by Verizon is similar, but not quite the same. First, Visible is owned by Verizon, whereas Mint isn't owned by T-Mobile. Visible is more like Cricket Wireless, which is owned by AT&T, so it's more of a discounted limited offering in terms of data speeds that you can pay month to month. But like other MVNOs, Visible doesn't have any physical stores or customer service that you can call if you need to. And whereas on Cricket Wireless and AT&T, the price for AT&T plans and the price for Cricket Wireless plans are often very close, so it's not a real obvious choice as to which might be the better bargain. But on Verizon and Visible, there is a more dramatic difference between the pricing between Verizon mobile plans and Visible by Verizon. Visible only comes in two options, a $30 a month Visible plan or a $45 a month Visible Plus plan. With both plans, you get unlimited talk, text, and data, but a similar plan on Verizon would be 30 to 50% more expensive or around $60 a month. Visible keeps things simple with their plans, and they are less expensive than Verizon, but the differences between Visible and Visible Plus are a lot more subtle. Let's start with the regular Visible plan. You get access to Verizon's network with unlimited talk, text, and data per month. You also have unlimited hotspotting if you want to share your mobile connection with an iPad or a friend, for example. Hotspotting, though, is limited to sharing on one other device only, and speeds are capped at 5 megabits a second, which is slow for streaming and video calls, but if you just need to catch up on emails from an iPad or send a few quick messages, you probably won't notice too much. And that's pretty much it for the Visible plan. It's just meat and potatoes mobile service. You get unlimited talk, text, and data, but the differences between that plan and the Visible Plus plan are a little bit more subtle. So here are the main points that you need to know. With Visible Plus, you get everything you do with the regular plan, but the main differences are access to the 5G ultra wideband network and what Verizon calls their premium network experience. And basically, what that means is with the Visible Plus plan, you get 50 gigabytes per month of unthrottled data. They do this so they're not directly competing with other Verizon plans, but also so their network isn't overburdened with a lot of extra traffic that's being sold at discounted rates. So, like a lot of other MVNOs, Visible by Verizon is throttled. What this means is that on both plans, if the network around you is busy, like at a concert or an NBA game, or where there are just a lot of other people on cell phones using a nearby cell tower, Visible users will get slowed down data or may even be temporarily held off the network to prioritize Verizon users. What the Visible Plus plan, though, is gives you 50 gigabytes in the Cool Kids Club, meaning they won't throttle or slow down your data until you get to that 50 gigabyte limit. In practice, that's a lot of data to use per month, so you probably won't be subjected to any throttling at all. But when the network does get busy, just know you won't be getting priority. Hopefully that helps explain some of the differences between the Visible and Visible Plus plans, but I wanted to pause in this part of the video just to let you know that for some of you, Visible by Verizon is going to be just a little bit too basic for your preferences. All right, so in the Visible account, you can't see how much premium data you've used or know how many times you've been throttled. In fairness, many MVNOs don't do this, but since Visible Plus doesn't show you how much of that 50 gigabyte premium data you've used, it's hard to say if you're getting entirely what you're paying for without running some very time-consuming bandwidth tests all the time. In fact, with both Visible plans, there's no way to see how much data you've used at all. Yes, it is unlimited data, but not having a counter, especially with Visible Plus, gives you less insight into what and how your phone and the network are communicating. And for many of you, that might be fine. You don't really want to know how much premium network experience you're getting, and you really don't care. And in those cases, the Visible Plus plans just have a few more small perks that might interest another subset of you as well. Visible Plus also comes with some savings for your home internet if you're using Verizon already, roaming in Mexico and Canada, and texting to international countries. But unlike Mint Mobile, for example, there's no true international roaming feature. So if you're going to go abroad for a while, you'll have to get a local SIM card or find some other service or plan that you can use when you're outside of the country. The last major difference with Visible Plus is access to what Verizon calls their 5G ultra wideband network. You can see on this map where that's available, but essentially it's really fast internet with a very short range of a block or two around a specific type of 5G tower. Unless you live in a major city and have one of these 5G ultra wideband towers right by where you live or where you work or where you spend a lot of time, it's not a feature that's going to matter for most of you. I think for most of you watching, the Visible plan is probably the way to go. A lot of you probably aren't going to be too worried about throttling when you're in crowded places or crowded venues because those aren't situations that you're in a lot. And the 5G ultra wideband isn't widespread enough to where it's going to make a huge difference in terms of your data speeds. So you can probably save that $15 a month by just going with the regular Visible plan. But there are two special situations, two special circumstances I think that make the Visible Plus plan worth it if you fall into one of those two categories. The first is if you travel to Mexico or Canada frequently. That's because with the Visible Plus plan, in both countries, you get unlimited roaming. The second circumstance where it might make sense to get the Visible Plus plan over the Visible plan is that you already have Verizon Home Internet and you want to get a discount on that bill up to about $10 off a month. You'll have to do some specific calculations on your home internet plan to see if that $10 off a month, if you qualify for it, first of all, and to see if that discount that you're going to get is going to offset the extra $15 a month you're paying for Visible Plus. Now, if you don't fall into either one of those categories, like you don't spend a lot of time in Mexico or Canada very frequently, and you don't have Verizon Home Internet already, then you'll probably be content with a regular Visible plan. Now, once you do choose a plan, though, continuing a theme here, setup and using Visible is pretty straightforward. You can sign up on the Visible site or through their mobile app, pay your $30 or $45 a month, and you're set. There are no physical Visible stores, so it's all virtual. You pay month to month, and you can set up autopay, so the monthly renewal is automatic. Visible lets you bring over your existing phone number or get a new one, and you can subsidize buying actual phones, and there isn't much else to the setup. You'll either be mailed out a physical SIM card or be set up with an eSIM, depending on your phone, and the app doesn't do much other than show your phone number and let you make payments. Now, when I was using the service, I did notice the slower internet speeds, which are capped at around 5 to 12 megabits per second, and the service in that regard wasn't stellar. Now, you might get better service and coverage depending on where you are, but I wasn't very impressed, though I am a heavy data user. Visible service was passable, average, middle of the road. Calls too were fine. The quality of the calls were fine. I didn't really have dropped calls. And that's really fortunate that I didn't have any issues that I would have to get in touch with their customer service for, because apparently their customer service is really, really just not good. There are no people to talk to at Visible. There's no customer service number. All the interaction you have is through a chatbot, which is the main source of pain for a lot of users. So much so that recently Visible had to admit there are in fact problems with their customer service. At least they make it so that you don't really have to interact with them too much. Like, for example, when you want to cancel, you just don't pay at the end of the month and your service will be promptly discontinued. Don't pay for 60 days and your phone number will be recycled for someone else. So if you want to keep that number and move it on to another service or another provider, just make sure you begin the migration process before your Visible service lapses. So all of this said, should you use Visible? I think if you're an existing Verizon Wireless customer who is just a regular user, like you're not streaming movies or watching a ton of YouTube when you're on a cellular connection, then Visible, especially Visible minus the plus, can be a good way to save on your monthly bill. Just move your Verizon number over to Visible and get more or less the same service for about a third or half the price. I don't think the Visible Plus plan makes a lot of sense for most people. I don't think it justifies the $15 a month for most of you, unless you spend a lot of time in Mexico or Canada, or you really want 50 gigabytes of on-throttle data. Visible itself is a good service if 5 to 12 megabits per second doesn't really mean much to you, but $30 a month sounds really good. Otherwise, if you want a few additional features like international roaming or a provider app with more options and information, or you want to have a storefront or a customer service representative to talk to from time to time, then you might be better off at looking at some other MVNOs. If you're already a Verizon mobile user and you're watching this and you're thinking, man, my bill is just really high, I'd like to get that less expensive, then making the lateral move to a Visible plan probably makes a lot of sense for you. Unless you happen to have some heavily discounted family plan or something like that, then just moving your phone number over to Visible is probably going to save you a lot of money per month. But if you want an MVNO with some other features or perks or options, then I'll leave a link to some of my other reviews down in the description so you can check them out and see what your other options are. In short, Visible is unlimited, but basic, which might be just what you're looking for. Thanks very much for watching. That's my review of Visible by Verizon. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll have new videos for you every week. And I'll see you in the next video.